At the end of our last session, we're talking about dynamic involvement, the involvement at which you begin to influence your teenager. And we're talking about this example of the French getting their way in UN meetings and how they were listening to the Belgians giving their presentation and asking questions. And as the Belgians continue to present, and the French are the ones who are in charge of that session, they quickly look at their watch and say, perhaps we should take our tea break a little early today. And when we come back from our tea break, the Belgians will conclude their session and then the Japanese will present theirs. Now, during the tea break, the French go and spend some time with the Belgians. And they say, guys, you got a really good proposal. I want to make sure you get this funded. And then they say to them, we have a few suggestions for you. And then they give them a list of 20 things that they want the Belgians to consider in their proposal. But look at their approach. We really like your proposal. We really want it funded. We've got a few suggestions. They say a few, but they give them a list of 20. And they sit down with the Belgians and look through a few of them. And then they let them do their tea thing. And they let them take their tea as they walk through the proposal. When the time is over, the tea break is over, they go to the Belgians and ask, you guys ready? Or do you need more time? Or we need more time. They go to the Japanese and ask them, are you guys ready to present now? We'll have the Belgians come in after the lunch break. When the session resumes, the Japanese give their presentation. The French moderator says that the Belgians will come back to conclude their presentation after lunch. Now, when the Belgians come back after lunch, they are giving a very different presentation. Well, it's not so drastically different. It's the same presentation with a lot of French influence. And this presentation draws and wins the hearts of the people. The French are the first to clap for them, and everybody votes. The Belgians end up getting twice as much money as they wanted. They own the proposal, but that proposal is 90% French. Do you get what I'm talking about? That's an example of how to be involved in your children's lives. Listen carefully to what they are saying. Ask them questions. Be intrigued by what they are saying. Accept what they are saying. Take notes as they are speaking to you. And then make a few suggestions. The few may end up being 10 mega suggestions, but because you began by accepting their proposal and giving them suggestions, they will take in your suggestions, use them to modify the proposal, and in the end, both you and the child will own the proposal. This takes us to level 5, and the final level, we are calling this prolonged involvement. Prolonged involvement simply means prolonged dynamic involvement. Prolonged involvement may take months, may take years, but you don't give up. Remember, however resistant your teenager seems to be towards you, you are slowly getting through. Your teenager wants to be loved, your teenager wants to be respected, and as long as you're loving and respecting them, you are slowly getting through. So do not give up. Respect the decision to resist your involvement and move slowly, but never give up. Express regret, but not anger, at your teenager's resistance, and just keep moving very, very slowly. Never retreat. Never stop asking for your involvement. Use your teenager's resistance to evaluate your own approach. Perhaps the teenager is okay. Perhaps it's your approach that needs to be reevaluated. So use the resistance to learn something about yourself and to evaluate your report. Now, many of us living in Africa and building stone houses, stone foundations, we are told, please do not grow this tree near your house. You know why? Because the roots of that tree will crack the foundation. Here's a question for you. Do the trees whose roots crack foundations, do they have steel roots? Are the roots made of steel? No. They're just simple fibrous roots. They just They're just as delicate as your hair. And the roots are not trying to crack your foundation. The roots are on a mission. They've got two main jobs: to give the plant stability, but also to look for water and minerals. So the roots are on a mission, and as they are looking for water and minerals, they come and meet the wall of your house. And they can't go further. So what do? They begin to crawl, to grow along the side of the wall. What are they doing? They are looking for water and minerals until they find a place on that wall where the cement mixture has a bit of weakness. And guess what they do? They get in. The little hair-like root begins to get into a weak joint within your wall, within your foundation. Their goal is not to crack your foundation. Their goal is to look for food. Their goal is to look for minerals. And as they go into the foundation and grow bigger over time, guess what? This thin hair-like root over time grows thicker and thicker and begins to occupy space within your foundation as they look for water and they look for minerals. And as they get thicker and thicker, they soon crack your foundation. The hair-like delicate root has found a way of cracking a stone foundation. In working with your children, keep moving. Your child may look like that strong foundation, and you may look like the hair-like root that is trying to get through and meeting resistance. Never give up. Continue, but do it very slowly and very gently. You will find a crack, and once you get in, you can slowly begin to expand. But some of you parents have already lost that opportunity. You feel like the prodigal son has already left home. What can you do in that situation? You can connect with that child and apologize for your mistakes. Or perhaps you didn't have mistakes that you made, like in the case of the father of the prodigal son. It is the prodigal son that made the mistakes. You can still connect with them and find out how they are doing without a big reference on what they are doing. Once they know that you want to connect with them at the empathy level, you create that bridge that they can begin to walk back on. You are responsible for restoring these relationships. Your son is a grown-up man, and if he walks away from you and never comes back, really he is responsible before God, especially if you already laid a good foundation. But fathers and mothers never give up on their children. Pray for your children often. Try the best you can to connect with them. Try to find out what may have gone wrong in the relationship. Sometimes the siblings of the children who have rebelled against you know exactly what went wrong. Make yourself approachable. Use these 5 approaches, involvement in your children's life, to be able to recapture that relationship and watch the relationship with the children thrive. You may even begin to discover why you're disconnected from your own parents. And you can use the exact same approaches to reconnect back with your parents that you've been alienated from, and see how your parent-child relationship begins to thrive, and how you can reconnect your children to their grandparents who may not be talking to one another because you are the person in between them that has made that life difficult. This form of approach, and going back to the scriptures and seeing that God accepts even the prodigal son, can help you to reconnect with the children and have thriving homes.